programming that you can access 24/7. Check us out on YouTube, Facebook, and X. And for the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. And that's just a sampling. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. For laptops, mobile phones, and tablets, download the Roku app. National Streaming Sports, live and on demand, sports talk for America.
This show is brought to you by BetUS.com. 125% off your first 3 deposits, 30 years experience, secure site, wagering for all sports, including during the games and futures. SeatGeek provides you the best prices on sports and music events, game tickets, and concerts. Use NSS promo code to get $20 off your first ticket. Keep using the NSS promo code when purchasing tickets for great deals in the future. In Fanatics at nessp.info for your favorite teams. Sportswear, click on the link. And while you're there, check out our national streaming sports merchandise. Well, Jack, we made it to hump day. We made it through an election. We got a lot of sports to talk about. Good morning, everyone. If you're just waking up and you don't know, we now have a new president, and everything's going to be fine, folks. I mean, the country will
not until January, that's going to be. True. But I was thinking the World Series. Had the World Series gone 7 games, and there'd been a couple of rainouts, okay? And let's say the 7th game was scheduled for last Sunday, because I think the 7th game would have been last Saturday, but we had a couple of rainouts. And there was a rain out into Monday. There would only taken 2-3 rainouts. Would they have played the game Tuesday last night, or would the 7th game of the World Series, would they have extended it an extra day because the election is going on and thrown the players, schedules, bodies further out of whack? Can you imagine the 7th game of the World Series going against, the election results? I mean, that would have been compelling, with the TV ratings or whatever.
I don't know what would happen. I don't know who would have won the rating war there, Jack. I would, I mean, you're going to have the diehard fans that are going to watch the World Series, and then you got the voters, and some don't even give a damn about baseball. That would have been interesting. Yeah. Conundrum.
In 1962, you had the Giants and Yankees. It was 10 days postponed, over and over and over. I mean, it entered my mind before the series, if it went 7 games and there were a couple of rainouts, what could be. I think they would have held it over an extra day to Wednesday, to today. That's my feeling. But it would have been interesting. No one ever addressed it.
You're probably right. So, Jack, we haven't talked about, of course, we were off the Monday Night Football game. KC 30, the Bucks 24. Went to overtime. Some stats for you. Mahomes throws for 291 yards, 3 touchdowns. Kareem Hunt has 109 yards and a touchdown. Kelsey has 100 yards. Their new wide receiver, Devontae Hopkins, has 86 yards and 2 touchdowns. Baker has a good game. The drama attached to this is Todd Bowles on the last play of the pretty much of the game doesn't go for the 2-point conversion and kicks a field goal after driving all the way down the field.
Extra point, you mean?
Right. Extra point is a field goal.
What is the drama? That's what most teams would have done. And the Buccaneers tied the game at the end, with 27 seconds. And some people feel go for the 2-point conversion. You're down 1 point, you go for the win. The danger is if you miss the 2-point conversion, you've lost the game. If you make it, you win the game. It's that simple.
Right.
You kick the extra point, which isn't a guarantee, but you're probably going to make the extra point. You're going into overtime, and then you have that 50-50 chance or whatever. And they're playing at Kansas City, but they didn't want to make the bold move. Analytics, by the tiniest margin, favored what Todd Bowles did. They have analytics, what makes the most sense. And like I said, by a tiny bit, it said if you kick the extra point, your chances are increased to winning. But that's analytics. If I'm the road team like Tampa Bay, and I'm a big underdog, okay, they were an 8.5-point underdog. I think you want to get out of there with the win, take the chance, roll the dice. You don't want the Chiefs getting the ball back because in overtime, what are the chances you're winning that game in overtime? So I think you maybe go for it right then and there, but I don't think you could be too critical of him. I really don't, and I don't feel he necessarily even made the wrong decision.
Well, the reason he said for it is it was what all the drama is. He said it was a wet field, and that's why he went for the field goal, the extra point field goal. But they just drove down the whole field in the wet rain, and they and this is part of the reason why people are kind of criticizing him. I agree with you. You go for the win. I mean, I don't want to give Mahomes a chance to get in the ball. You saw Baker Mayfield's facial expression when they lost the coin toss. He pretty much knew it was over with Mahomes getting the ball. I'm with you, Jack. I go for that 2-point conversion. If I lose, at least I say, hey, I was aggressive. I came here to win. I have faith in my team was going to get the 2-point conversion, and there's no problem then. I think that would have been the right thing to do. But again, they played a good game. The Buccaneers are not a bad team, that's for sure.
No, they were missing their two main receivers, Godwin and Evans, too. I think part of it is mindset. I think a coach has to address a situation like that with his team beforehand from training camp, saying, look, guys, if it's late in the game, we don't play for ties. We go for 2-point conversions. I want you to know what your mindset should be. So if we're down 7 points late in the game, okay, we're not going to go for a touchdown and kick the extra point. I think it has to be drilled into their head because, when you get the touchdown, there could be a mental letdown just for a little bit. You don't know what you might think your job is done for now. You might not be ready to regroup basically in a matter of seconds to go for the 2-point conversion because, you have to have a play in mind.
Right.
Everyone has to know what's what. You're scrambling to, come up with a play, even though they have some design plays, obviously, that are prepared beforehand. And listen, on reflection, if you had a chance to do it over again, you do it. We had the famous 2-point conversion try in college football decades ago for the national championship. Nebraska went for it, and if they made it, they would have had an unbeaten season, national champions. If they kicked the extra point, it would have been a tie. They still would have been national champions, but they wouldn't have had the perfect season. So Nebraska went for the 2-point conversion. They didn't make it. They didn't win the national championship, and they didn't get the unbeaten season. And you know what people are saying after the game, Mac? Well, if you kicked the extra point, you would have at least been national champions. Maybe they should have just kicked the extra point. People are going to second guess no matter what. You know what they would say, Mac? They would have said, well, the Buccaneers had the momentum. Or they would have said this. The Buccaneers didn't have confidence in their defense to hold the Chiefs in overtime. We would have heard that nonsense.
Right. Yeah. I mean, listen, Jack, I can't kill him for it. You said you can't. I can't kill him for it. I mean, how many times this year, and I'm just watching the Giants, they've gone for 2-point conversions and got stopped. And what happens there is that even though you got the touchdown, the momentum changes. Yeah. Because the defense stopped you. And you leave the field feeling like you didn't do it when you did. So, I mean, I can't kill him. I can't.
No, but it's the end of the game, Mac. It's the end of the game. You can probably escape with a win. Probably, a little Holmes. But the thing about it is, no one mentions this. Let's say they went to 2-point conversion and they went up a point. 27 seconds left. Are you necessarily counting out the Kansas City Chiefs?
No.
The Kansas getting in field goal range.
No,
You know? You never know. I mean, it didn't necessarily mean they would have won the game. But on reflection, yeah, I think I would have gone for the 2-point conversion. But like you, I'm okay. Let's not criticize Todd Bowles. But it's not like he committed a blunder. But Andy Reid was relieved he didn't go for the 2-point conversion.
I bet he was.
That's telling.
Good morning, little Holmes. My name's Mac, if you don't know. So anyway,
you do the analyst you greet normally, not the host.
I would figure you. I'm the one that puts up the comments. I would figure I would be the one that they would greet first. But that's I'm fair.
He always greets. Little Holmes always.
I know. He's a big fan of your Buffett's boxing show. I know. So Baltimore versus Cincinnati. Baltimore is giving 6 points, Jack, to Cincinnati, and their defensive backfield of Baltimore is one of the worst ranked defensive backfields in the AFC, I should say. And you got Joe Burrow, who just threw 5 touchdowns. I mean, you're not going against Bo Nix here. I mean, you're going against one of the better quarterbacks in the league. I'm telling you. And this is brought to you, folks, by Bet Us. All right. You see that little thing up here in the right-hand screen? Yeah, you just scan that. That will bring you right to the Bet Us site. And you can either agree with me and bet with me or bet against me. I like Cincinnati here tonight, Jack. I think Burrows and the offense will outscore the Baltimore offense.
Well, I mean, I like Cincinnati tonight too, but I like Baltimore tomorrow night when they're playing.
Well, okay. I like tomorrow night.
You make a great point with the Ravens. I mean, I'm very high on the Ravens. I think they are very much a legitimate Super Bowl contender, and I'm not revealing anything. They lost in the AFC Championship game last year, and you knew they'd come back and make a run, at the Super Bowl again this year. But can they get by? Can they survive? Can they get to the Super Bowl with their defensive backfield being a little bit in disarray? And I've been hard on myself for their draft pick. They drafted Nate Wiggins from Clemson, and I kept saying, what a steal. He should have gone a lot higher than all the way at the end of the first round. And they've had problems. But listen, Joe Burrow for 5 touchdown passes. It was against the LA Raiders, Matt. Come on. That's medicine for a quarterback like Joe Burrow. You play the Raiders, all of a sudden you start looking good again. You get it together. And if I had to ask you, Mac, and this is something you'd have to give some thought to, so I wouldn't expect an immediate answer necessarily, who's been the most disappointing team in the NFL this year? Disappointing from what you thought they might do in the beginning of the year. And to me, it's the Cincinnati Bengals. I thought they would be a Super Bowl contender. Now, you could point to a record of the San Francisco 49ers, for example. But teams like that, I think, are going to get straightened out before the year's over. They'll be in the playoffs. Maybe they'll get bumped early in the playoffs, but they'll at least be a playoff team. The Bengals, I don't have a lot of faith in them going forward.
Cincinnati's 4-5 right now. I think Pittsburgh's 7-2, 6-3.
Yeah. I mean, hypothetically, with their record, they can get back into it. But outside of the game against the Raiders last week, and I don't take much stock in that because it's the LA Raiders, they just haven't been looking good. They nearly beat the Chiefs earlier this year, so kudos to them on that. But they never got going, the Bengals, this year, and it started opening game when they lost to the New England Patriots in an absolute shocker at home.
It's true. That's right. I guess I would have to say your New York Jets would be the team that has disappointed me the most. I thought that they would be right in the mix right now with Buffalo.
Maybe, yeah.
That would be a disappointing team to me. Trying to think of any other ones. Not Cleveland, because Cleveland hasn't really done anything last couple of years. Just going through my head really quick. In NFC,
the Cowboys are not shocked about. They've been disappointing, but
maybe more than we thought.
Cowboys, they weren't going to be that good.
Yeah, if they don't make the playoffs, if they don't make the playoffs, which they're not going to now, I don't see that happening. That will be very disappointing. That will be.
Well, a team like the Saints, who you thought would be a lot better than they were, maybe not.
Saints are a good one.
At least contending for playoff, position. But yeah.
One that might be more disappointing, Jack, is the Bears. As a second Bears player, doesn't play until the whistle blows 1 week after Tyreek Stevenson is engaged with the crowd and is out of position for the Hail Mary. So what happens is, and we talked about it before the show, and I posted this on or Linda posted it, sorry. The film, you can go watch the film of DJ Moore, who is on the left side of the field where Caleb Williams has scrambled to, and he's along the sidelines hoping Caleb, I guess, throws him the ball. Caleb is getting pressured. He gets away, and as he runs back to the right, not all the way either, Jack. I mean, he runs a little back to the right. DJ Moore goes and sits on the bench. He actually walks by and taps the guy to move him out of the way, and he goes and sits on the bench while Caleb Williams still could have ran the ball, still could have got a completion over the middle, and DJ Moore might have had the block for him at the very least. And I just don't get what's going on there in Chicago right now. I have no clue. What is going on with that team, Jack?
I didn't see the play, but it's funny. These things happen in Chicago. That's like a Scottie Pippen moment. And, I recently read Scottie Pippen's book, actually, and it's for, and he had a fun thing. He had it in his tombstone written, sat on the bench, during the game 3. But, I want to hear an explanation from DJ Moore. Things seem to be a little out of control in Chicago. Just the way Caleb Williams plays the game, he's a little out of control, but he's a rookie. You sometimes have to rein these guys in. And I think I was saying this before the show to you. It's ownership. Ownership has got to let the head coaches know, you discipline the team. I have your back, but I expect you to discipline these guys when they screw up. And if the coach knows the owner, the GM has his back, he's going, he's dealing from strength. I mean, if DJ Moore, if this is the only time he screwed up in his career and it's one play, I can accept an apology. I can accept the player saying, look, coach, I made a big mistake. I'm really, really sorry. It happened for the moment. I just acted the wrong way. I'm really embarrassed about it. Is it okay? I apologize to my teammates. Teammates sit there and they'll say, look, guys, I'm really sorry. This is on me. I screwed up. I messed up. And then you can move on. If it's a one-time thing, I don't believe you suspend the guy, you fine him. A quick impulse, okay?
Yeah.
But then you take the cornerback, Tyreek Stevenson, who cost them the game.
Yes.
Cost them the game. To me, an apology in itself is not enough. It's not enough. You cost your team a game. And if I'm your teammate, I want to see you accept the discipline. I would demote the guy. I would suspend them a game. It wasn't just a mental breakdown. He's not paying attention to the play, Tyreek Stevenson. He's taunting the other bench. And then he taps the ball into the hands of the commander receiver. It was a ridiculous bonehead play, cost the team the game. But what I want to say about Matt Eberflus, what took him so long to tell Tyreek Stevenson he's not with the starting unit? It took him days to come around to that. He should have made a quick, decisive decision. Okay? Let him know, the following week, you're no longer on the starting unit, what you did. Me personally, I would have put him on the practice squad at least 1 week. at least 1 week. You don't play the next game. You practice with the team, and then you're on the sideline in your street clothes the next game. You let your teammates down, but the coach let it go on for days, maybe leading Tyreek Stevenson to believe he's in the starting, lineup, and then that gets pulled from him. And, I just don't like Matt Eberflus, what's going on. And you told me early in the year with Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze, the two guys drafted number 1 highly, obviously quarterback, wide receiver. Caleb Williams' first touchdown pass of his career was to Rome Odunze, and they were fighting over who would get the ball. Shouldn't someone have thought about that beforehand? At least be sure they're not on the field together for his first touchdown pass.
I don't know. I know as we talked about Tyreek Smith, right? He just walks off the practice field. The locker room's not happy now with him. Matt Eberflus is to me, a fork in the road, Jack. I mean, he could lose this team. He could lose the locker room if he doesn't stand up and start doing something. And another thing I was thinking about, the Hard Knocks curse. Here it comes again. Last year, the Jets, there goes Aaron Rodgers. This year, to Chicago. Maybe the team gets lost. That curse is real, Jack. That Hard Knocks curse gets in people's minds, and they all think they're stars. And I'm telling you right now, this is a bad thing for a football team.
Let's not be so sure with the Bears. What were they, 7-10 last year? They're 4-4 right now. If they go 9-8, the year hasn't been a failure.
That's true.
Keep that in mind. I mean, they're not losing that game to Washington in the way they lost last week decisively to Arizona. Things look like it could spiral out of control with them. But look, they play at home against the New England Patriots on Sunday. And if they lose that game, then things have spiraled out of control, Mac, and it's only going to get worse going forward. Talk about a must-win. I mean, they can't have a more perfect scenario than being at home against New England Sunday, but they also can't have more of a nightmarish scenario. If they're to lose that game, man, oh man, things are ugly in Chicago, very ugly, and they're going to be the focus of some serious national attention in a very negative way.
Well, check this out, Jack. After the Patriots, the Bears got the Packers. They're playing at home against the Packers. They're playing at home against the Vikings. They're at Detroit. They're at the 49ers, and then they're at the Vikings.
Listen, they better beat the Patriots, go to 5-4, and maybe they win a couple of other games. And you missed a couple of games on their schedule, I think, maybe after that.
I didn't go the whole
schedule. Okay,
I didn't go the whole thing. I didn't go the whole thing.
Certain games are winnable. At home against the Vikings, that's a very winnable game still. But take it a week at a time. I don't believe in all that talk whatsoever. Did I say they're 5-4? Is that their record? Are they 4-5? Let me just
check it out real quick.
Take one look at the standings. Chicago Bears.
Good morning,
they're 4-4, like I said. Yeah, so they have 9 games left on their schedule. They beat the Patriots. They're 5-4. And they just take it from there. But if they lose to the Patriots this season, I never want to say a season's over because you keep playing the games a week at a time.
Sure.
Things are good. Man, I think that means they would have completely folded, at this point in the year. And the turning point would have been the Tyreek Stevenson play. Imagine their mindset had they beaten the Commanders in Washington. They would have gone to 5-2, Mac. And then even you lose to Arizona at home, you say, okay, we lost that game. We're 5-3, win contention for playoff position. We beat New England. We'll go to 6-3, win good shape, guys. Yeah. But that's not the case.
Just that one play may decide the season. You could look back at that. Bear fans at the end of the season, Jack, when the season's over, and if the Bears don't make the playoffs, they're going to look back at that one play.
Oh yeah, yeah. That one play is gonna, that one play is going to live on. I mean, it's always going to be because it was bizarre the way Tyreek Stevenson wasn't paying attention while the play was unfolding. The Bear fans in the end zone were trying to get his attention. They were pointing to him, a play's going on. And then what made it worse, he's the guy that hit the ball to the commander receiver because he was completely out of position. I mean, what a
100%.
disastrous. And then he didn't accept accountability. He said, well, I apologize. Reminded me when Roger Clemens hit Mike Piazza on the head. And it's very debatable whether he deliberately hit him on the head, even though I'm sure Roger Clemens, if it was deliberate, and my feeling is personally it was. Other people like Al Leiter said, no, it wasn't. But Roger Clemens, probably had remorse, said, oh, that's messed up. If he called him when they got back in the locker room and he couldn't reach Piazza. And later Clemens said, well, I know what I tried to do. Like that made it right. Him making a phone call. Oh, I'm sorry, bro. I hit you in the head with a 9-mile-per-hour fastball or whatever the speed was.
I mean, you got to admit, Clemens did, he did own the inner part of that. No batter was going to stand. He's going to brush you off. The telltale sign to me is when, Piazza. What did he do? Did he take the bat and almost throw it and hit him?
That was afterwards. No, that was another game. That wasn't the same game. No, that wasn't the same game. But the point is with Tyreek Stevenson, all your apology is a start. You have to apologize for screwing up the game. What are you going to do? Not say a word? Of course you're going to say, look, guys, I'm sorry. This is on me. I messed up. I cost you the game. Let's move on now. Put it behind us. Who the heck is he to say, let's put it behind us?
Yes.
I mean, let him put it behind himself when he's on the field, so he could be focused. That's fine. But, his teammates, have to hold him accountable. That's a big game in the standings, Mac. They'd be 5-3 instead of 4-4, but he was the screw up. So how you accept accountability? Get demoted and say, and even say, look, if I get put on the practice squad for the rest of the season, I'm not even going to complain because I really messed my team up. If I'm the coach, he's got to discipline me. It's ridiculous what I did. It's shameful, but he took no accountability. His accountability was, oh, I'm sorry, guys. And that's it. Case closed. Come on. Yeah.
To sum that up, actions speak louder than words, Jack. So
and he walks off the practice field. Yeah. If I'm a teammate, I'm ticked off.
So the Saints fire their head coach. This is what James wanted. Yeah, Dennis Allen gets fired after going 2-7. Darren Rizzi is named the interim coach. James is on a big football show with us. He talked about an NFL download. He said, I want him fired today. Well, it wasn't today, but it was the next day. So they did fire the guy. The GM saying he's a heck of a coach or a hell of a coach or however you put it, but if he's a hell of a coach, why are you firing him? So he's not a hell of a coach in your opinion. He a lot of injuries, Jack. I mean, we could make excuses. To me, there's a reason. There's the whole defense, the offense, wide receivers. Derek Carr's hurt. I mean, this guy didn't have a chance really. And I don't know what head coach could have won with half your team on the sidelines every week.
Yeah, and nothing gets accomplished firing a coach in season like this. It just doesn't. Look what happened with the Jets. They actually did Robert Salah a favor because the Jets probably would have lost the 3 in a row, after firing Salah, had Salah been the coach, and they probably would have beaten Houston with him as the coach, there last week. But, these interim coach tags are dangerous. They're 2-7, the Saints right now. They have 8 games left. Let's say they go 5-3. People are going to be saying, oh, keep the interim coach. He's earned the position. He's earned nothing. I mean, he's an interim coach there, And these organizations make such big mistakes by a lot of times keeping their interim coaches. They don't plan because they have a little success. Just look at the Raiders with Antonio Pierce. Antonio Pierce did a decent job as a good job as the Raider interim coach, but he wasn't the answer long term. He wasn't the answer at all. And you mentioned Derek Carr, ho hum. I mean, they better address their future quarterback because he's certainly not it. Certainly not. You could have some. Derek Carr is going to have some really good games in him. It wouldn't surprise me as one of these games he throws for 5 touchdown passes. He looks great. He racks up the yards. It's all a tease with Derek Carr. He's not a starting caliber NFL quarterback. But like I've said over and over, make him a backup and he'll be the best backup quarterback in the NFL. He's a tweener. You don't want him as your franchise quarterback, but you can win with him from time to time as your starter because, he's not bad. He's okay, but only to a point. And he was back last week. It didn't really make a difference with New Orleans.
Not at all. Well, New Orleans, they did get rid of. We're going to talk about the trade deadline in a little bit, but they did get rid of their All-Pro Bowl cornerback Marshawn Lattimore. He went to Washington to the Commanders. So it looks like they're going to start rebuilding for next year.
I wonder why the Ravens didn't make a move on him. I mean, these teams are very careful to protect their draft capital, for next year. I wonder if you have a team that would be aggressive like the old-time Washington Redskin coach George Allen. He wouldn't hesitate to trade away draft choices for veteran players. I mean, he would trade a number 1 draft choice for a 30-year-old player because he was in a win-now mode. And Marshall Lattimore certainly would have helped the Ravens in their backfield.
No doubt. So as we're talking about the Raiders, they fired the whole offensive coaching staff. And again, I don't know how that helps the Raiders. Really, they did hire Norv Turner as a consultant, Jack.
Norv Turner's a consultant. I mean, what? I don't know what it's going to do for them. I have no idea. A lot like you point out, it's about relationships. Maybe Mark Davis, the Raider owner, has a relationship with Norv Turner. Who he'd be consulting. It's kind of intriguing in a way at the end of the season. Would Bill Belichick go to the Raiders? Tom Brady's a minority owner, and that whole thing is a farce. Brady being a minority owner and having his role at Fox. I mean, it's a complete farce to me that should be addressed where he shouldn't have been allowed to be a minority owner of the Raiders or should be forced to give up his position at Fox. But I don't see what difference it makes. The Raiders in disarray. I mean, that should be something. The 2 teams playing in the Super Bowl of disarray would be the Raiders in the AFC against the Bears in the NFC.
Yeah,
the disarray call it. The Giants would be losing to the Bears in the NFC Championship disarray goal.
There you go. Let's see. The Cowboys.
The Saints would. I'm sorry.
That's all right. We'd be in the playoffs. We get in as a wild card at least, Jack. Dak Prescott will miss multiple weeks with calf injury. I mean, I know this is to protect his ACL. The same thing that happened with Aaron Rodgers pulling that little calf there, connected to it. It just gets worse and worse for Dallas. But they did, Jack, pick up somebody. They picked up a wide receiver. Cooper Rush will be quarterbacking. They did pick up Jonathan Mingo from Carolina, who's had 1 catch for 1 yard so far this year. So, I mean, they did get another wide receiver that might help them out. So I don't know why they picked up Jonathan Mingo, but there you go. So,
well, keep in mind the Cowboys have won with Cooper Rush as their backup before. There was something like 5-1.
Yes.
I mean, they could win if everything was in place, but there's just no offensive firepower. Outside of C.D. Lamb, they don't have any at the wide receiver position. At the running back positions, not strong at all. So, we'll see how it unfolds. It's, of course, the old scenario, 1 week at a time. They play at home against the Philadelphia Eagles this week. Big division win. This might be it for the Cowboys. Any hope of winning the division, this got to be it. They got to win. If they do win, they're still viable contenders. But if they lose to the Eagles, it's going to be ugly at Dallas. I mean, if it's not ugly already.
Good morning, Matt. Glad to have you aboard. Yes, the running game is nothing right now for Dallas and their defensive front. I think Parsons is coming back this week against the Eagles. I think he's playing. But Dallas has a lot more holes than quarterback and wide receivers. They have a lot of holes all over that team. So glad you joined us, Matt. Let's see. Tom Brady, you mentioned he didn't get punished, Jack, as an owner by criticizing a call by the official. According to the NFL, he didn't question the integrity of the official or the integrity of the crew. I think he could have been punished. I don't think they want to punish Tom Brady. I mean, if they punish Tom Brady for doing this as a commentator, people are going to look at him. Well, I mean, come on, the dude's got to do his job. It's if it was somebody else, I think they might even get punished.
Yeah, I don't like what's unfolding with Tom Brady now, and I'm not necessarily blaming him. He came into Fox as this dynamic superstar. Everyone wanted to see him talk football and this and that. And he's been a little too businesslike to me. He's done a good job, but what he's giving me as an analyst, any top analyst could give me, he's not giving me anything a little different. He's not going out on the limb. He's not really being bold. He's not calling out players, coaches. He has the pedigree to do it because of all the winning he's done in his career. And now we're having restrictions on him by the NFL because he's the owner of the Raiders, what he's allowed to say, what he's not allowed to say. The novelty of having Tom Brady in the booth is kind of wore off. Because, it's the game. We don't care that much, what he's providing in the booth. He's been okay. He's done a decent job as an analyst, but we're not excited about him anymore. Like I just said a moment ago, the novelty is kind of worn off. And the NFL, allowing him to be a part owner, is just, it's not a good look for the NFL.
I think Tom Brady's improved in the last few weeks. He's shown a little bit more emotion, laughing and joking a little bit more. But you are right. I mean, I don't watch games for announcers. I don't care. I mean, I will turn off a bad game that has bad announcers. Yeah. But if it's a good game, point in what I'm saying. Chris Collinsworth, I do not like him as an announcer. If it's a good game, I'll watch it. I'll put up with his laughing and his cackling and making the big situation out of nothing. I'll put up with it. But if it's a game that I'm not interested in, I will not, for the life of me, watch it. And that's just because of Chris Collinsworth. And that's the way I feel about him. So, Jason Kelsey, Jack, apologizes on national TV for breaking the student's phone outside Penn State Stadium after he called his brother a homosexual slur. That was the student that did that. I guess he had to do that, maybe for lawsuits, maybe for since he works for does he work for ESPN or does he work for the NFL? ESPN, I think.
Yeah.
So they could go after ESPN. I mean, I think they said, hey, you better get out there and apologize and put an end to it before it starts.
No, Pants, the Philadelphia sports guy of our network, said knowing Jason Kelsey, the type of person he is, he's probably going to wind up apologizing because he probably feels bad. Jason Kelsey, I should have ignored, this student who is way out of line. I mean, freedom of speech has your limits. You can't go over to someone and start who you don't even know, and you're going to put down their family member. Say some mean-spirited things about them. That's antagonizing them. That's provoking them. You have absolutely no business doing that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I was kind of on the side of the kid for a while. I didn't realize it was a student. I thought it was like a teenager or something. I didn't know it was a college kid that did this. But still, I mean, I guess that looks there's an older gentleman with him too. I don't know if that's his father or a friend or whatever. He's there with him, and they kind of came at Kelsey, and Kelsey reacted, and I can see it. I can see getting mad about something like that. But again, even though Kelsey might have been in the right or he might have been in the wrong. I'm telling you, Jack, the next thing you're going to see is a lawsuit. I guarantee it. He's going to.
You want to know? You want to know something? I would like to see then Kelsey counter-sue and be able to collect.
Yeah.
Okay, counter-sue, and I'd love to see a judge say to the kid, if it was his dad or whoever was with him, you came and you provoked this guy. I'm passing this civil suit. You owe Mr. Kelsey such and such amount of money now.
Could happen.
I would like to see that. I'd like to see the fans be held accountable. You can't come up and just say whatever you want. You're allowed to boo a player. You're allowed this. You're allowed that. But when you're away from the stadium, you have no business going out and say, and putting them down or whatever, and to walk up to him and put down a family member. Come on.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you now for sure. Trade lines, some bigger trades than others, Jack. Washington picks up, as we talked about, cornerback Marshawn Lattimore. Detroit gets a pass rusher, Jadarius Smith from Cleveland. Pittsburgh picks up wide receiver Mike Williams from the Jets, a pass rusher from Green Bay, Preston Smith. I mean, I could go on, but those are really the three biggest trades that happened. It does give Detroit another pass rusher. It does give Washington upgraded cornerback. And listen, Pittsburgh got a pretty good receiver, I think, Jack.
Well, Mike Williams, yeah, he's really good when he was with the Chargers. Then he got injured. He came to the Jets, and they had some high hopes of it working out, but he was injured, with the Jets. So it took him a while to actually to see the field and to actually get any type of chemistry with Aaron Rodgers, which they never really got. And then when the Jets, of course, got Devontae Adams, Mike Williams wasn't going to get many touches. He became very expendable, because obviously, Garrett Wilson's there, Devontae Adams, Mordecai Corley is there. So, and a couple of other receivers. This is a good situation for Mike Williams going to Pittsburgh because he's going to be he might be the number 2 receiver behind Pickens there. So he might find himself in a very good spot. This is like a blessing. It could be a big, big blessing in disguise for Mike Williams because he was only going to be a spot receiver with the Jets going forward.
I agree. A little baseball news. Derek Cole opts out and opts back in with the Yankees for another year and $36 million. Jack,
No. He didn't get another year and $36 million.
He went from 4 to 5. He went 4 to 5 years and got another year on his contract.
He did not. He did not. That information is not accurate. And you don't have to look it up, Mac, because I know, what had happened. Garrett Wilson opted out of his 4-year deal at $36 million a year, total of $144 million. The Yankees could have avoided it, so he couldn't be a free agent by adding one more year than an additional $36 million. The Yankees wouldn't do it. So Garrett Cole, then I said Wilson, Garrett Cole, he then spoke to the Yankees and said, look, I don't want to opt out. I'm back in for the 4 years. And the Yankees didn't add the year. Garrett Cole didn't want to opt out at the end for the simple reason he might not have found a team that was going to pay him $36 million a year for 4 years. There's a good chance he would not have. And he was going to leave a lot of money on the table and leave the team he wanted to pitch for, the New York Yankees. Case in point, look at last year what happened to Blake Snell. He was the Cy Young Award winner, and he could get no more than a 2-year contract at $32.5 million a year. And Garrett Cole's had some injury issues. Garrett Cole was not, I repeat, was not going to get a team, I don't think. I can't say with certainty, but I don't think he was going to get any team out there that was going to pay him $36 million a year for 4 years. And the Yankees kind of knew it. And the Yankees could have detoured a little bit. There's some good free agent pitchers out there of the caliber, a couple of them of Garrett Cole. There's Corbin Burns.
Right.
If Garrett Cole opts out, the Yankees got that $36 million a year for 4 years. They could, and then they could add on a couple of more years to Corbin Burns and sign him, and he's as good as Garrett Cole right now. The Yankees they could sign Max Fried. They could still make those moves.
Right. I don't know what happened. There's like a smudge.
I don't know, my fog. There's some fog on my picture. I don't know.
Jack's coming live from London. No, Jack, I
don't know where. I'm bobbing and weeping. I don't know what this is. I'm on the spotlight, Max.
Yes,
but it was a business decision.
I
don't want to hear all this nonsense that Garrett Cole, because he wanted to remain a Yankee, loves being a Yankee. I have no doubt he does. I have no doubt he loves being a Yankee since he's been a kid, whatever. But it's business, guys, here. And his agents were smart enough to know it was a bad move to opt out.
To say what you're saying is correct. I did look it up. Before they said he could. So that was what I thought. That's what was going to happen. I
thought so too.
Yeah.
In fairness to you, Mac, kudos to Brian Cashman, because if I was the GM, I may have just added the other year, and it would not have been a smart business decision that the Yankees made.
Yeah.
They call it a game of chicken. The Yankees could have risked losing Garrett Cole altogether. He could have stubbornly gone free agent, and he might not have been a Yankee. The Yankees kind of rolled the dice a little bit, realizing, Garrett Cole's not going to get the same money from another team, not quite, and he wants to be a Yankee. Players sometimes will leave a little money on the table, but not a lot of money. They leave a little bit if they really want to be with a team of their homegrown player. That's why we hear all this talk, Mac, now with Soto, with free agency, with the Yankees. Oh, he might want to be a Yankee. Soto doesn't have a Yankee pedigree. He didn't come up through the farm system like Aaron Judge did. Aaron Judge left $50 million on the table because he wanted to be a Yankee bad enough, But Soto might leave $50 million on the table too. If another team's offering him $650 million, he might sign for $600 million with the Yankees. But that's about as far as it's going to go. He's not going to sign for $550 if he could get $650.
And Jack, that depends on the team too. The Dodgers offer him $650. He's gone. I think he's gone. As you said, not only does he not have a pedigree with the Yankees, he didn't even play for him for a whole year, if I'm not mistaken. They picked him up as pretty much, like a sniper, a guy that you bring in to put you over the top. So he has no allegiance to the Yankees at all.
Really? No. It depends what he wants to do. Okay. If the Dodgers offer him $650 and the Yankees offer him $620, he might say, guys, $30 million. I want to stay here. I'll take a little less money. It's happened. Look, Carlos Beltran was a Scott Boras agent when he signed, I think, with the Astros. At the last call Scott Boras made to the Yankees, he didn't negotiate with him. He said, look, he'll stay with you for $2 million a year less than what he could get there. Do you want him? And the Yankees said no at that point, And even I remember when David Cohn was going to go free agent once, there was Kansas City, this and that. He said, I would have taken a couple of $1 million less in total. It's kind of marginal. But if it comes down to $100 million, $650 opposed to $550 or $575, I think Soto's gone. If it's significant,
So we do have some basketball games and news to talk about. First, let's talk about Cleveland remains undefeated as they beat the Milwaukee Bucks. The Milwaukee Bucks are off to their worst start in history, Jack, going 1-6 right now in last place. I imagine they'll turn it around somewhat. I imagine Cleveland will come back down to earth. But, it's just interesting to see Cleveland, who, when they get the playoffs, they don't play their best. Maybe this year's a little different, Jack.
And maybe, with the situation at Milwaukee, the big storylines with Giannis, is he going to commit to being a career Milwaukee Buck? Indications are he kind of is looking elsewhere. He's made comments in the past about it might be nice to play for the Chicago Bulls because of the city and this and that. And, when they got Damian Lillard, he came on board last year. They got him in large part to keep Giannis happy. Now we could contend for a championship. We got you a super player in Damian Lillard, and it hasn't quite worked out. The chemistry's only been so-so. Not to say that they don't get along, but it's not quite the winning formula they thought it would be. And, have you noticed this more and more, Max? Just because you get a star player and have them join another star player on the team, it doesn't necessarily translate into the team being much better.
No, not at all. Not at all. It's got to, like you said, it's got to have chemistry on any team. I don't care what sport it is. If you want to be a winner, you got to have chemistry. You can have all the talent you want. It's shown every week. It's shown every year. I mean, Kansas City, were they better talented than the San Francisco 49ers?
Well, that was a toss-up game, Max. That was overtime.
No, I don't think so. On paper, San Francisco had the better talent. To me, that's easy. I mean, they had more weapons than Kansas City. Kansas City just had a better team. So they had more chemistry than San Francisco, and that's why they won, in my opinion, anyway. Jack.
Mac, if they had fumbled at the end, a pass had gotten tipped one play away, the Niners were from winning the Super Bowl at the end, then you'd be talking about how great the 49er chemistry was, and that the Chiefs maybe have to make some moves to, get back. Come on, Mac. You're a bottom line guy. That's what you are. Bottom line. That's all you look at.
If is a huge word. Popovich out for a while with an illness, Jack. I mean, indefinitely. So, he's had problems with his health last few years anyway. You think this is going to be something where you may see him retire?
Well, I hope he's okay. I have no clue, just hope he's okay.
I mean, this team is Wembanyama. His team's playing pretty well right now this year, where they got a couple other players besides Wembanyama now. And it looks like they're at least maybe make the playoffs this year.
No, Wembanyama is the one player in the NBA, more than any other player, you can build a team around. You could build everything around Wembanyama. I don't know, can you do that? You can't do it as effectively with any other single team. I understand Denver did it with Jokic over there. Milwaukee tries to do it with Giannis. Whenever you have a super player, you try to build around them sometimes. But I think with Wembanyama is the one guy you could really, really do it with more than anyone.
I would agree with you there. And last night's games, Boston beats the Hawks 123-93. Houston beats the Knicks 109-97. 76ers.
Two nights ago, man.
Oh,
last night, election night, they didn't play.
They did? 76ers won 118-116. And B gets suspended for 3 games, Jack, by the NBA. So there you go.
Okay.
So since he wasn't going to play it anyway, he wasn't going to play those 3 games anyway. They just said, "Hey, we're going to suspend you," and anyway.
Yeah, very convenient. Yeah, we'll suspend him to 3 games. He wasn't going to play anyway. They do that in boxing all the time, Mac.
Really?
They'll hand out a 6-month suspension, but the darn fighter's wasn't going to fight the 6 months anyway.
Hey, there's a event coming up. 2 days now? Is it 2 days or 1 day now with Tyson and Paul? What are your thoughts? I didn't prepare for this. I'm just going to ask you your thoughts, man.
Oh yeah, it's going to be the weekend after next. Okay. My thoughts are Tyson shouldn't be fighting. The guy's close to 60 years old. He shouldn't be in the ring at that age. You get hit, you get hurt. You get hit with a jab. It's a dangerous thing at that age. I mean, you really shouldn't be having the contact. I mean, even if Tyson can punch and let's say could knock Jake Paul out, it's risky. I mean, I think Tyson is under a lot more risk than Jake Paul
Really?
because of the age
Ah.
factor. Tyson hasn't fought in over 20 years, Mac. And he was way past his best then. You see these short clips and they say, oh, Mike still has it in bursts. Michael still have it for 2-3 rounds. Really? Come on.
I don't
I
know.
mean,
I mean,
Jake
listen,
Paul has been beating martial artists at least. You know, UFC guys, MMA guys. Those
Retired.
guys are used
Retired.
to but those guys are used to combat. I mean, Jake Paul can fight a little bit.
Isn't the last MMA guy he fought like in his 50s?
No, he fought a bare knuckle guy. Look, let's be honest. Jake Paul could be considered maybe an 8-round fighter in boxing, okay? But he's been training in earnest for years. He's been in the gym, and you know he's a little more. This isn't the Mike Tyson you knew. This is an older version, an older. Mac, let me give you another example. Why do we talk about this way in boxing? If Mariano Rivera at age 58, 59, I don't know how old Mo is now. Let's say I think in the early 50s would be my guess. But let's say Mo makes a comeback now. Let's say the Yankees re-sign him as their closer. Are you going to get excited? Oh, they got their closer next year. Mo is coming back. He still has that cutter. He still could be effective. Yeah, maybe Mo, for a pitch or two, could throw the ball in the mid-80s and the ball's going to cut, and maybe do something now and then. But come on. I mean, what is the best you get out of Mo? It would be amazing if he could make the team as a middle reliever and pitch an inning now and then in a mop-up role. Come on.
I don't know. I think that's apples to oranges comparison. All Tyson has to do is in one round just listen. How many boxers has Jake Paul beaten? Professional boxers.
I mean, you have a good point, Mac. You have a good point. But these mixed martial artists guys, they can fight. They're in a ring, they're fighting, they're exchanging kicks, punches, whatever. They're used to the combat. He's always well conditioned.
Yeah, but you can't kick in boxing.
But the question is,
you can't wrestle. You can't kick. You got to box. It's not the same thing.
Well, the bigger question is it going to be a real fight?
Yes.
I have a little doubt whether it's an exhibition, a fight. I'm a little confused here. I think it's going to be a legitimate fight, but who knows? Jake Paul is always nasty towards opponents, always. He's been so nice to Mike Tyson, like they're buddies. And Tyson, it says I admit I like Jake. It's like they like one another.
Yes.
It's like there are no hostilities. Even when they badmouth one another, it's not said with any emotion. It's said with a smile on their face. Jake Paul says, Tyson's an old man. I'm going to retire him once and for all. But there's no emotion there. I'm sure they're going to pick it up a bit, to get interest in the fight. But there's no bad-mouthing going on. No real bad-mouthing.
Jack, what you said there at the end is the outstanding point. Is it going to be a real fight, or is it going to be just trading punches and hitting? I mean, who knows?
I need a favor from you, Mac.
Okay.
If it takes place and Tyson wins, I want you to come on glove fist, calling for Tyson to get a shot at the Usyk Fury winner, saying, "Look, I think he can do it. I think he can get back on top." Okay.
Yeah.
Will you do that?
I'll think about it. We'll see. You want to drive Frank another time, don't you? I know you do. Folks, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the new people that even stopped in. Of course, our viewers that come in all the time, loyal like Rick Sherlock and that. And we appreciate having you. Up next will be Coffee and Sports. It's Wednesday. We're packed full. I'll see you again tonight at the Professional Sports Show. A lot of fun that show is. Keith Engle's back from his trip. We'll see if he has COVID or not. That normally happens every time he comes back. He has some kind of thing he has.